What's up, Otaku Family? Welcome back to Otakuact. So the episode opens up the next day, and Jin-Woo arrives at the Ajin Guild office, right? And Jinho is just there, completely shell-shocked when Jin-Woo drops the bomb that he's heading to Japan. Like, you can see Jinho's wide-eyed shock. His voice is literally trembling as he's trying to process what he just heard. And here's where it gets real. Jinho points out that this isn't like Jeju Island at all. What's happening in Japan now is on a completely different scale, and you can feel the fear in his voice. But Jin-Woo, he's so composed, just calmly saying that if they could prevent the disaster, the Ajin Guild's name would be known across the globe. The confidence. The vision. But then, and this is where I started tearing up, after a moment of silence, Jinho straightens his back and declares that if Jin-Woo was going to Japan, then he would be going too. The sudden change caught Jin-Woo off guard, and honestly, it caught me off guard too. Jin-Woo asks what he meant by that, genuinely surprised. And then Jinho doesn't raise his voice. He just reaches into his bag and pulls out this bundle of old newspaper clippings and printed headlines, each one highlighting Jin-Woo's feats and accomplishments. His voice cracks as he admits something he's held inside for too long. Not a single one of those reports ever mentioned his name. He confesses between tears that it made him feel useless, like his efforts meant nothing. The only thing he could truly be proud of was standing by Jin-Woo's side. That's why he wants to go, not for fame, not for glory, but because being by Jin-Woo's side gives him purpose. Jin-Woo lets out a small sigh and reminds him that just moments ago he was against going to Japan at all. So what changed? And the answer comes without hesitation. Jinho looks at him and says he trusts him. As long as Jin-Woo is there, he feels safe. But then Jin-Woo hits us with this curveball. A soft chuckle escapes him as he stands up, glances back, and tells Jinho not to take it too seriously because he had only been joking about going to Japan. Jinho blinks, confused by the sudden reversal, and honestly, so was I. But Jin-Woo doesn't explain further. He just tells him to head home and rest. The walk back to his apartment is silent, and we get these beautiful introspective moments. Jin-Woo's thoughts drift, memories surfacing like waves as he recalls his battle with the architect. Even without his shadow soldiers, that being had pushed him to his limit. That fight proved something he hadn't wanted to admit. He isn't the strongest. Not yet. There are still others out there who could stand above him. The humility, the self-awareness. This is what makes Jin-Woo such an incredible character. When he steps into his apartment, the familiar scent of home welcomes him. His mother smiles brightly at the sight of him, asking if he would be staying for dinner. He gives a small nod, and while the food is served, he glances around and asks where Jinah is. His mother, still cheerful, explains that she hadn't been hungry and had gone back to her room. As Jin-Woo sits at the dinner table, his mind drifts between thoughts of Jinho's loyalty and the lingering worry in his sister's eyes. Eventually, he looks up from his plate and says softly that he would be leaving again. His mother doesn't argue. She simply smiles, the same quiet smile she always wears in moments like this, and says she would help him pack once he finished his meal. The family dynamics in this series just hit different, you know? With a full stomach and firmer resolve, Jin-Woo walks quietly to Jinah's room. The door creaks slightly as he enters, and his sister lays on her bed, restless even in her sleep, her body shifting beneath the blanket as if her dreams too are weighed down by worry. He sits beside her without a word, taking a moment before gently placing a comforting hand on hers. He tells her in a calm voice that he has faced death countless times, and every single time he came back alive. He thanks her for caring, for worrying, and promises that this time would be no different. Though her eyes remain closed, Jinah's lips tremble. Her voice, barely a whisper, cracks as she says he would have gone regardless. Jin-Woo doesn't deny it. He simply looks at her with warmth and summons his shadow ants. As the towering figures appear behind him, he reassures her that no matter where he goes, no matter how far, she would never be left unguarded. The protection, the love, I'm sobbing. The following day, Chairman Go stands before a sea of reporters, his expression solemn. The atmosphere is tense, cameras already rolling, pens poised, eyes locked on the man at the center of the storm. He steps up to the microphone, clearing his throat before delivering the words everyone had been waiting for. Hunter Jin-Woo, he announces, would be officially joining the Rank Gate mission in Japan. A wave of murmurs sweeps through the crowd just as Jin-Woo appears beside him. The sound of camera shutters intensifies, rapid and relentless, as reporters surge forward for a clearer shot. He steps forward and shakes Chairman Go's hand, sealing his commitment with quiet finality. Later at the airport, Jin-Woo and Jinho arrive together, shoulders squared, expressions sharp. Determination radiates from both of them. The crowd that had gathered quickly takes notice, and once again the flashes begin, each clique trying to capture the moment before they step into uncertainty. Representing the Ajin Guild, the two stand side by side, ready to cross the sea into chaos. Whatever waits for them in Japan, they have already made their choice. Meanwhile, news of Jinwoo's decision to join the mission in Japan spreads fast, even across the ocean. In Maryland, deep within the headquarters of America's elite, a cluster of S-rank hunters gather around a long table, their conversations already drifting to the Korean hunter who has now taken the spotlight. Murmurs fill the room, laced with doubt and scoffs. One of them leans back in his chair, pointing out how even Lady Selma, the psychic who had pushed their powers beyond normal human limits, had failed to enhance Jinwoo by a single stage. That, to them, is all the proof they need. If Selma couldn't awaken him further, another hunter chimes in, then Jinwoo had already hit his ceiling. No amount of Jeju Island fame would change that. Clearing an S-rank gate, he claims, is on a completely different level. The ants are one thing, but giants? That's a death wish. Their confidence swells as the conversation devolves into bets. A sleek yacht, a mountain estate, even a luxury villa are thrown on the table, each wager riding on the same belief. Jinwoo wouldn't last a day in Japan. But then, from the corner of the room, a quiet voice breaks through the arrogance. Thomas Andre doesn't even look up from his meal as he cuts into his steak with the calm of a man who's heard enough. With a small smirk, he declares that he'd bet his scavenger guild's entire building on Jinwoo making it out alive. The room falls silent, eyes turn toward him, half in disbelief, half in irritation. Instead of arguing, Thomas gives them a blunt reminder. With the dungeon break fast approaching right here on their soil, maybe they should stop worrying about Japan and start asking how many of them would survive. The silence thickens. Some roll their eyes, others shift uncomfortably. One mutters under his breath that Thomas always has a way of killing the vibe. But Thomas only chuckles under his breath, leaning back in his chair with a shrug. Maybe Japan would have been more fun after all. Still, he has a feeling the real chaos is just beginning, right where he is. Thomas Andre knows what's up. The man has faith in our boy Jinwoo. Meanwhile, in the heart of Japan, the situation is growing increasingly desperate. The military personnel are overwhelmed, scrambling to assist the flood of injured and helpless civilians. At a crowded nursing home, a soldier wipes sweat from his brow as he's approached by an elderly couple, their faces worn yet calm, supporting several immobile patients behind them. He tries to usher them away, warning that there's no room left and that they need to evacuate before the giants get any closer. But the old man refuses to move. He speaks gently but firmly, saying they had promised these patients they wouldn't leave their side, not even at the end. Something in the soldier shifts. He hesitates, then quietly makes his decision to stay with them, knowing full well what that means. He turns to help guide them to the safest area he can find, only for a shadow to suddenly cast over them. A massive giant looms above, the limp body of a human still clenched in its jaws like a trophy. The soldier's stomach sinks as he raises his weapon along with the others. Gunfire erupts, but the bullets are useless. The giant keeps advancing, its massive hand lunging forward toward one of the soldiers shielding the elderly couple. And then, in a blur of motion, a black spear tears through the air, piercing the giant's chest with explosive force. The impact is so powerful, it sends the towering creature flying, crashing through several buildings before finally skidding to a lifeless halt. The soldiers freeze, eyes wide with disbelief. Towering where the attack had originated stands a figure, tall, fearsome, and unmistakably inhuman. Igris, the Naga boss shadow soldier, stands silent, black spear in hand, his gaze locked on the battlefield. What did you think of this episode? Are you as hyped as I am for Jinwoo's arrival in Japan? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that like button if you're as obsessed with this series as I am. And don't forget to subscribe for more solo leveling content.